Previously, In-hyuk visited Ji-woo to check up on him after Ji-suk gave him an ass whooping. Ji-woo told him that he wanted to rematch Ji-suk, so his request was acknowledged, and the fight happened when Ji-woo's leg healed, only for him to be immediately put to the ground right after the fight started. Ji-suk acts cocky after bringing Ji-woo down and says that it wasn't worth it for him to make the time for this fight, as it's way too easy. Ji-woo didn't expect an attack as soon as the fight started, and even though Ji-suk didn't put a lot of strength into the attack, it was still a big blow to Ji-woo. Ji-suk thinks that it is unfortunate for the fight to end so early, since In-hyuk and Ji-young made the time to come and watch. He isn't shy to mock his own sister as well, but she remains silent, and when Ji-suk looks behind, he sees that Ji-woo is back on his feet, making In-hyuk think that his stamina might be greater than he predicted. He lost focus and got hit, but Kaden knows that he lessened the damage by channeling his powers to the area where the impact occurred. Getting into a fighting stance, Ji-woo scolds himself for getting distracted like a fool, as he didn't expect Ji-suk to attack so instantly. This time, he plans to attack first, so he dashes towards Ji-suk and starts swinging. Ji-suk dodges the attacks and tries to counter, but Ji-woo ducks underneath his punch and hits him with a flurry of punches. In-hyuk is impressed by how fluid and impressive Ji-woo's moves are. Ji-suk is pissed at Ji-woo and calls him a jerk that only has super speed at his disposal. He pushes Ji-woo away with a burst of his power and manages to push back Ji-woo further with his punches, saying that he told him before that he can match his speed. Ji-suk has now completely adjusted to Ji-woo's speed and starts being on the offensive once again. Ji-woo remembers Kaden telling him that he is way faster than Ji-suk, so he increases his speed even further beyond, and Kaden looks at him like a proud dad at his son's baseball game. Ji-suk might be way stronger than Ji-woo, but he is nowhere near Ji-woo's speed at his best. Ducking under Ji-suk's kicks, Ji-woo almost lands a kick to his face, but Ji-suk barely manages to block it at the last second, and wonders if Ji-woo is actually faster than him. Once he realizes that Kaden was correct about his speed, Ji-woo goes ham on Ji-suk. And Kaden reveals that he expected Ji-woo to freeze up in the actual fight, but he's doing great, and even In-hyuk and Ji-young are impressed by him. However, despite his rapid improvement, it's a shame that he is fighting against one of the strongest awakened ones of his age. Ji-suk is tired of letting Ji-woo control the battle flow, so he increases his power and manages to scratch Ji-woo's ribs. He was just taking it easy on Ji-woo, but now he thinks that Ji-woo let that get to his head, so he plans to teach him a lesson by taking it seriously. In-hyuk and Ji-young feel worried for a second, as they feel that Ji-suk is overdoing this, and Kaden thinks that Ji-woo could get seriously hurt now. Ji-suk tells Ji-woo that he has improved since before, but he still has a long way to go before he can even hope to defeat him. He wants to make sure that Ji-woo won't dare to challenge him again, and goes absolutely unga-bunga on Ji-woo. He is forced to run away, but Ji-suk catches up to him and drops him to the ground with his punch. Even though Ji-woo used his abilities to defend himself, he still feels like his whole body is shattered. However, since he is still moving, Ji-suk launches his ultimate attack on Ji-woo and covers him with 1,000 wind blades that are constantly slashing his body. Our poor cinnamon roll falls to the ground, and In-hyuk gets angry at Ji-suk for taking it too far, but Ji-suk thinks that he did nothing, and since Ji-woo was the one who started this fight, he has no reason to take it easy on him. Agreeing with what he said, Ji-woo gets back on his feet yet another time and surprises everyone. Ji-suk wonders how he is still able to stand, but Kaden knows that his attack wasn't a direct hit. Ji-suk knew where the attacks would make the least impact, so he positioned himself perfectly to absorb the attack at those places and was able to protect his body by focusing his abilities. Thank God we have the fat cat to help us understand what's going on in the fight, and the smirks he's giving are just a thing to behold. In-hyuk asks Ji-woo if he's okay, as the power behind Ji-suk's attacks was intense, and when Ji-woo says that he is all right, he thinks that there must be more to it than his body being in good shape, and wonders if he did something to reduce the impact. Now even he wants to test out Jiwoo's power. And just like him, Jisuk is bamboozled as well, as he thinks that his attack should have knocked him out for good. But there he is, still standing. He wonders if he has some other power besides his speed that allows him to defend himself. If Jiwoo put up with that attack, Jisuk thinks that he just has to attack him harder and increases his power further. In-hyuk is eager to see how Jiwoo will perform, but thinks that if they continue, Jiwoo might get hurt pretty bad, so he tells the two to stop fighting as it will be too dangerous to continue. Everyone is surprised hearing this, and Jisuk thinks maybe In-hyuk and Ji-young came to see the fight because they were trying to protect the kid. Surprisingly, Jiwoo tells In-hyuk that he can still continue, so he replies that he has already shown how good he is, but if he continues further, he will get hurt severely, as Jisuk hasn't even used his power to its full potential yet. Jiwoo's heart sank for a second upon hearing this, and seeing his face, Caden wonders what his pupil will do now. Jiwoo lives up to his expectations by saying he wants to continue and plans to fight till the end. Jiwoo is showing some serious backbone and determination. Maybe Caden was right about Jiwoo being a masochist. Even Jisuk is now starting to like our Pookie Wookie and tells In-hyuk to let Jiwoo be since he's practically begging to fight. Saying that he is going to give Jiwoo an opportunity to learn his own limits, Jisuk powers up to his maximum, and In-hyuk gets worried, but Jiwoo begs him to not stop them, and Ji-young tells him to let Jiwoo do what he wants, saying that Jiwoo will do better than he thinks. If the chairwoman feels this way, In-hyuk wonders if there is something truly special about Jiwoo. Jiwoo rushes at Jisuk and copies what he did in the beginning, as he knows that he will be at a disadvantage if there's a distance between them. Jisuk tries to smash him, but Jiwoo dodges away and tries to counterattack, but it is just a bait and Jisuk smacks him away. He thinks that Jiwoo's speed is impressive, but it's useless if he can't make contact with him, so all Jisuk has to do is not let Jiwoo come near him. He keeps hitting Jiwoo with long-range wind blades and builds a wall of wind around him to not let Jiwoo come near him. I wonder what Trump would have done if he could build a wall with wind. Jiwoo is absolutely shocked seeing his move, and Jisuk tells him that it is child's play when someone has complete control over his awakened powers. Seeing him, Caden can say for sure that Jisuk has a lot of fighting experience, and he's not in a rush because his abilities are much stronger. At first, he lost focus due to Jiwoo's unexpected moves, but over time, Jisuk adapted to it well, so it will only get harder for Jiwoo from here. To demonstrate his great power, Jisuk hits Jiwoo with a barrage of wind blades, and Jiwoo falls on the floor with deep cuts around his whole body. Caden better catwalk his way into that fight and just meow at Jiwoo before he hurts himself more. In-hyuk gets angry at Jisuk, but he says that Jiwoo wanted to fight till the end, so it isn't his fault. He asks In-hyuk what would happen if Jiwoo would meet an aggressive awakened one, and tells him that it is better he learns now than die while fighting someone unprepared. The fat cat then explains what Jisuk did to the dumb people watching this video, and says that he made his wind explode just before Jiwoo could react to it. And it wasn't because Jiwoo lost focus, but because Jiwoo lacks experience fighting other awakened ones. Ji-young orders In-hyuk to take Jiwoo to the treatment center, but the mad lad says that he can still fight. I like how Jisuk has barely a scratch on him while Jiwoo is bleeding his guts out, but he still doesn't give up. In-hyuk literally begs the mad lad to stop, and even Jisuk agrees with him this time as they know that the wounds on the outside of his body are nothing compared to his insides. So In-hyuk says that he can't let him continue. However, Jiwoo thanks him for worrying about him, but despite looking like a 110-year-old grandma, he says that he can take care of himself and plans to fight till the end. In the past, Jiwoo saw a kitten in the middle of the road and used his powers to rescue it before Truck-kun iseki'd it into another world. However, when people started talking about him and his powers, he ran to his home in a panic and curled up in the corner of his room shivering. After getting hit by the last attack, it is difficult for Jiwoo to stand, and his skin stings and hurts like it has been cut 1,000 times with a sharp knife. However, he still doesn't want to give up, making In-hyuk wonder what he is trying to prove by fighting in such a state. Even Ji-suk wonders the same, but he can't help it if Ji-woo keeps being this stubborn, so he powers up and plans to not waste any time in finishing Ji-woo if that's what he wants. He gets even stronger than before, and Ji-woo is dumbfounded at how someone of his age be so strong. Despite being a complete douchebag, Ji-suk doesn't want to torture Ji-woo, so he plans to end the fight with his next attack. Ji-woo is scared. As if the last attack hurt him this bad, how bad will it get for him if he gets hit by a stronger attack? Before their fight, Kaden told Ji-woo that he wouldn't be able to defeat Ji-suk in his current state, as he has been training since he was a little kid, but with a smile on his face, Kaden tells him there is still one way to win. According to him, Ji-suk will think of him as easy competition, and Ji-woo needs to use that to his advantage by not using all of his awakened abilities, but storing his energy even if it gets critical for him. As time passes, Ji-suk will get used to his moves, and that's when Ji-woo will get his chance to attack. Kaden tells him that when that time comes, he needs to put all of his energy into that one attack and bet everything on it, as it is the only way he can win this fight. When Ji-suk attacks him, Ji-woo doesn't plan to dodge, as he doesn't want to be a scared bitch anymore, and moves behind Ji-suk so fast that he isn't even able to react. With electricity crackling around his whole body, he puts all his power into his punch and blasts Ji-suk away. Ji-young shows some emotions for the first time, and now I will measure how good Ji-woo is by the number of expressions she is able to produce, since that seems to be a fitting criteria. Even In-hyuk missed Ji-woo's move since it happened so suddenly. Kaden slowly walks up to Ji-woo like a proud dad to say that he did well, and Ji-woo thanks him. In-hyuk goes to cradle Ji-woo the second he is allowed to, because In-hyuk is all of us. Meanwhile, Ji-suk is coughing like my grandfather with asthma, as his insides were destroyed by Ji-woo's attack. He realizes that Ji-woo had been hiding his true power all this time, and he doesn't want to fall for that anymore. But before he goes to fight him again, Ji-young stops him, as he is gravely injured, and Ji-woo can't move anymore. She tells Ji-suk that he must have learned a lot from this fight as well, and praises him. Ji-young then goes to her future meat provider to say that the way he fought is worthy of respect, and Ji-woo thanks her for bearing up with his stubborn ass. He even goes as far as to thank Ji-suk for the fight, and Ji-suk doesn't know how to react since it's the first time someone has been nice to him even after he bullied them. In the chairwoman's office, In-hyuk tells Ji-young that he had no idea that Ji-woo could move that fast, and proudly admits that even he couldn't follow his movements. Considering that he only just accepted his awakened abilities, he feels that Ji-woo is genuinely gifted. She then asks In-hyuk about Ji-woo, and when he says that he should be awake now, they both go to meet him. Meanwhile, in his hospital bed, Ji-woo recalls his battle and thinks that he lost again. But he isn't mad and frustrated like last time. Instead, he feels peaceful. He tells Kaden that he truly feels like he's a real awakened one now. He wants to train his abilities instead of spending time like this, but it hurts him so much that he can't even move, so he just focuses his energy while lying on the bed, and Kaden gives out a chuckle, as he is training without him having to nag him. Suddenly, he senses someone coming, so he tells Ji-woo to stop. In-hyuk and Ji-young arrive to check up on him, and the former mentions that he was asleep for 2 whole days. Ji-woo says that it hurts a lot. Of course it will, you absolute buffoon. You have 5 fractured ribs, and 4 more have cracks in them. On top of that, he has bruises all over his body. But Kaden thinks that the injuries are nothing. He is kinda right, as it is a serious condition only for an average person, and since Ji-woo is an awakened one, he will recover in no time. The Manhwa Association is also providing him with the best treatment, so In-hyuk says that Ji-woo can put his mind at ease. He then suddenly notices Caden's chubby, wobbly body and is barely controlling himself from rubbing his body. Can't really blame In-hyuk for that because the feelings are mutual. Out of nowhere, Ji-young asks Ji-woo if he has heard the name Caden, and the fat cat wonders if she felt that the energy Ji-woo used in his last attack was related to him. He didn't think anyone would notice such a small amount of energy, but it only goes to show how good Ji-young is. Ji-woo is worried for a second but acts like he is hearing the name Caden for the first time. Ji-young then asks the name of the fat cat, making Caden wonder if suspects that he is Caden. Ji-woo almost says Caden, but controls himself and tells the two that the cat's name is casein nitrate. Casein nitrate sounds like a very budget chemical on the periodic table. Caden is annoyed by the name Ji-woo gave him, but being the cat lover he is, In-hyuk still loves it. And Ji-young mentions that it's a rather cute name. The fact cats are ungrateful shitheads makes Ji-young wonder why this one sticks with Ji-woo all the time. So In-hyuk tells her that most cats are not like that. But the fat cat is a one-of-a-kind prodigy, and it's every cat lover's dream for their cat to be clingy towards them. However, even the cats that are cold to their owners and are actually demons in disguise are adorable to In-hyuk. Meanwhile, Woo-in is going to school and remembers Seong-ah telling him that he might be free for now, but he can't leave the neighborhood and is under observation all the time. He also asked him about Delane, so Seong-ah told him that he would have to face the consequences of his action. Going to his class and sitting on his seat, he sees that Ji-woo isn't present and asks someone about him, only to learn that Ji-woo's been absent from school for a few days now. That someone also mentions that the last time Ji-woo came to school, some upperclassmen came looking for both of them, making Woo-in worried about him. Woo-in doesn't talk much, and the fact he talked to a classmate to find out where Ji-woo is so adorable. Sitting by himself, Ji-suk feels that his pride is hurt after what Ji-woo did to him, and wants a rematch once he gets better. His friends come to him and ask what happened to his face, so he tells them that it is none of their business. They then tell him that kids from other schools are acting up since he is quiet these days, but Ji-suk isn't interested in fighting at the moment and tells them to take care of it themselves. Just when he goes, Woo-in comes walking, and the boy gives out an evil smirk seeing him. This is where the video ends. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.